Have you ever wondered if seeing in the spiritual realm would make you, a little judgy? I have seen in the spiritual realm since I was, as we say in the South, where I'm from, knee high to a grasshopper. And I can easily tell you that seeing in the spiritual realm has actually helped me become less judgmental and more forgiving across the board. Let me explain. So, seeing spiritually means, for those who don't realize, that you can see, feel, perceive the spiritual realm around us that is around us, that some people call the unseen realm. And that's something that I've experienced since I was really small. And it's something that I talk about a lot now on the internet because I think we're in a time and an age where the spiritual realm is getting a little bit thin. And one could assume that if you saw a dark entity around or in someone, that it could lead you to be more judgmental of them. But in fact, through Jesus' eyes, I've found more grace and forgiveness than ever. And so, what does that have to do with seeing in the spiritual realm? How does that tie into forgiveness? Everything. It has everything to do with the spiritual realm. Because a lot of times, I believe we're all meant to see and experience and perceive to some level. But a lot of times people have like a veil or a shroud over their eyes, and a lot of times a dark entity will behave like that, like a sort of a funeral shroud, hiding people's eyes from truth. And oftentimes people really don't actually know what they're doing, which makes it difficult. Because people really love their illusions. People really love pretending that they're right. And people really love being right. And people really love, being in charge and being in control. And a lot of times, dark entities will offer that knowingly or unknowingly. And ripping that veil away usually requires some level of consent from the person whose eyes have been veiled. And that level of consent is really hard to get if they're not willing to admit that that's what's really going on. But in the end, the person whose eyes were veiled never really fully knew what they were doing. They may have known in part, but they were so muffled by the wrong thing that they thought that they were actually doing the right thing. And that's where we come to the prayer that Jesus prayed on the cross, where he said, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." Because the religious authorities that Jesus was betrayed by and killed by, they thought that they were doing the right thing. They thought that they were preserving their dynasty. They thought that they were preserving the Torah. They thought they were preserving everything. But Jesus came to fulfill it, and fulfilled it, he did. And that prayer, "Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing," like all of darkness rose up against Jesus and caused quite a stir and killed him. But I believe that in part it was easy for Jesus to say, "Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing," because he understood the nature of veiled faces. And right now, God is bringing clarity and ripping veils off of eyes. He is opening up eyes to see the unseen spiritual realm and the things that are really troubling people. And that realization starts with you, not with them. Because there are things that God wants to show you before he ever shows the person that you're frustrated with. And I love 2 Corinthians 4:3-4, which says, "But even if our gospel is veiled, it is veiled to those who are perishing, whose minds the God of this age has blinded, who do not believe, lest the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine on them." And right now, God is removing the veils over people that the God of this age has blinded. And that's oftentimes what someone's questionable actions have caused and have done, is they are blinded by the God of this age. But Jesus is stepping in to remove the veils off of eyes. And seeing in the spiritual realm has afforded me the ability to understand that people making questionable choices are typically in partnership, knowingly or unknowingly, with things that have blinded their eyes, and they really can't see what they're doing. And a lot of people that are doing harm really don't know what they're doing. Even if they know in part, I don't think that they fully know. And whether or not they did it knowingly or unknowingly, I can promise you that wherever pain is being caused, there is a blindness that has come from the God of this age. And a lot of times, the effect of pain being caused is that we question God. And that's the domino effect of bad things happening, is that we question God. But it wasn't God that caused those things to happen. And so, if this is my suggestion to you, I don't know if you feel like you're a seer, if you do or if you don't, but I would encourage you to ask 2 questions to Jesus. 1, Jesus, show me where I am blinded. Show me where I am not seeing fully or clearly what's happened in this situation. And 2, show me what's going on with the situation or this person that we're doing this right now. And, okay, bonus question. 3rd question, ask, what do you want me to do about this, if anything? Because in reality, one of the best things that you can do to lessen the impact of a spiritual war is to say, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Hey there, I'm Mary. I write and teach on spiritual authority and the spiritual realm and hearing God. I have a bunch of free Substacks below, and I also have some online courses that get a little bit more in depth than we can really get into in a YouTube comment section. But if you are just enjoying this, then I encourage you to hit next and subscribe and hit the next video.